This is Rashawn Slater, first round draft pick for the LA Chargers, and you're listening to the Charged Up Bolts podcast. Bolt up.
Hey, Bolt fam, how's it going? It's your boy Droid Ayers, #Audible Chocolate. And I'm not here at the Herbert Hangar. I'm actually broadcasting from home today because it is Thanksgiving for us here in the States. We're enjoying a great time off here with my family. It is also the day after Thanksgiving here, so guess what that means? It's officially Christmas time. So my wife and daughter are out there putting up garland and lights, and I'm excusing myself to talk with you about the Bolts. So today it's going to be kind of a back and forth show with just me. And of course, my wonderful, wonderful co-host, the man who I owe all of this wonderful fame to for bringing me into the fold. And that's John Waz Jr. here. How's it going, Waz?
Hey, John. Happy holidays, buddy. Great to talk to you. Just a big shout out to Dan and Bez before we continue. They're both under the weather. Bez particularly not well. So hopefully we'll see those dudes back next week. I think I've just said to you before we came in, I think I'm the only guy on this side of the pond that isn't suffering from sort of flu or something like that. So I'm grateful to be sharing this podcast with you, buddy.
Yeah, I got over a pretty bad one a few weeks back. So, I feel you. As long as it's not the new variant that's out there in South Africa,
yeah.
Just stay away from that. Stay out of South Africa, and just be safe, everybody. So, anyways, so it's been a little while since we spoke. With the holidays and everything going on, we ended up not doing our general recap this earlier this week like we usually do. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start this show off with a quick recap of kind of the Steelers game, that exciting Sunday night football match. We're talking a little bit about what happened, how it goes, and then we'll kind of go into, of course, our big division rivalry game this weekend against the Broncos. So, Waz, did you watch the Steelers game live? Did you watch it on repeat? Have you watched it multiple times? How do you feel about the game?
I watched it live, and I'm suffering. Tuesday, I was at work midday, and I work with my wife, for those that you don't know, and I looked at her, closed the lid on my MacBook, and went, I can't do this. I am so beat. So I'm grateful that I saw the Chargers getting the W. It was worth it. Us UK-based fans suffer a lot when you stay up all night and then the team loses. But thankfully, we got the win. I'm just grateful, okay, that we came away with that W because we nearly charged, and I think we need to get rid of that terminology sooner rather than later. But that all depends on the team getting us over the line a little bit earlier in the game. I was fortunate enough to get on the Charger Chat podcast with Kevin earlier in the week. And I said the same thing what I'm going to say now. Mike Tomlin's teams, they're hard. They play physical football. He will not allow them to sit on their laurels and just let games go by. They've not been particularly great this season, but they came at us, man. Big Ben had a great game. One of the best games of his season. His time's coming to an end in the NFL. But I tell you what's really promising is the fact that we held Najee Harris to under 50 yards. I think we spoke about it, John, last week, saying that Najee was going to go on a run, maybe a ton 50, and he didn't. So that's hugely positive as well. But look, Herbert had another great game. And Mike Dubb out there on his own to get the winning touchdown. Woohoo! Brilliant, man. Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of jerk said that we should just cut him in the offseason and save that money, but that dude's an idiot, whoever that guy
was. Yeah, look, look, John, I think it's indicative of the way this season's going, up and down. We're going to talk about Denver shortly, but you look at the teams that they played recently. The Cowboys started hot, and they're now falling off a cliff. And we saw Mike Williams coming out the traps in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, and he's been a bystander since until this Sunday. But I think the main man of the show is Austin Eckland. Wow, 4 touchdowns, 2 receiving, 2 rushing, absolutely unbelievable. Let's just hope he starts getting some of the credit that he deserves, John, because he's absolutely brilliant, man. He's absolutely brilliant. And every week, we never, he's had the odd drop. Show me a footballer this season that hasn't had the odd drop. But come on.
Well, I will say it may seem like the receivers drop a lot of balls, but that's only because we're seeing all of our receivers drop a lot of balls.
Correct.
Easily one of the worst in pass catch rate as far as in the league goes. So maybe we're used to seeing everybody drop balls, but that's actually not the norm. So let's not go too far and say, oh, he drops the odd ball. He drops a lot of balls. So
what was your takeaways from the game, John? What did you like? What didn't you like?
So obviously it was good to see the run defense stand up. I think I tweeted this out during the game, but I mean, I'm actually very disappointed right now to see that Jared Tillery might be coming back this week, because I think that the line played better without him.
Agreed.
Did they play better than with Linval Joseph? I don't know. It's hard to say. But it makes me think that the staff needs to really look at the personnel and packages they put out there, and maybe Tillery is a obvious pass down only D lineman, because I mean, yeah, he's great at getting after the quarterback, but he's a complete liability and useless in the run game. And we saw guys step up, Fehoko, Fackrell, all these guys stepping up on the Justin Jones stepping up on the defensive
Andrew
line.
Brown.
Yep. They all stepped up and they had a great game against a pretty good rush defense. And granted, the Steelers' offensive line has been pretty poor, so it's not like they were going against the highest end caliber, but still, these are guys who are not starters, not getting first team reps on any kind of a regular basis, and they went out there and put on a good show. So that was really encouraging. I thought the special teams return game was pretty good. I think Andre Roberts again showed why he's kind of electric. He seems like he might be the most electric guy in the team. I wouldn't hate to see him getting more involved on the actual offense itself. Get him a few more reverses and end arounds, maybe even draw him up a few kind of screens or whatever, just to kind of get him in space, because he seems like, besides Eckler, one of our best, kind of electric in space catching backs right now. So it wouldn't hurt to get him going there. So I thought that was all good.
Yeah, agreed. And I think he's still finding his feet with the playbook and things like that. So I think we'll see more production from him going down the stretch. But it's we've got to assess this as a really good, positive move by the front office to bring him in when they did. So let's see how that goes. But I mean, speed. We need to get some pace and some speed in the team in the draft. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that because of what we need. But hey, we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, it's like I said, it is it's one of those things where you really just have to kind of see how it shakes out and see what kind of see what they decide to do moving forward. I mean, Staley keeps preaching the fact that they assess the team after every game. They take time to look at what's working, what's not. So hopefully they're seeing what we're seeing. Another guy who's a bright spot, Donald Parham Jr. again, looks really dangerous in the passing game. Jared Cook had a few more drops, and honestly, Cook may be done. This may be his last really useful season. And I get they brought him in. He knew the offense. He could help the pass catching room kind of figure out the offense and stuff. And that's great. But I don't know why they don't get Donald Parham Jr. more often, give him more looks. I mean, he's a beast. And even as far as yards after the catch, no, he's not going to break a long 100-yard touchdown run with any blazing speed, but he's so hard to tackle that just getting him the ball with any space, he almost always turns it into an additional 5 or 10 yards after the catch, just because of his size and ability to kind of move. And I don't know if you saw some of those moves he had out there. I mean, I saw him throw a juke out there. I was like, what just happened right now? I mean, he's got some nimbleness for someone who's like 6'8", 6'7", or whatever.
Yeah, and I think I know Bez is a big fan of his, and I mean, staying with the Steelers game, I'm going to be a bit greedy here. It would have been like Keenan went for over 100 yards. It would have been nice to see him get a touchdown. It would have been nice to see Justin Herbert rush for 100 yards. 10 yards a carry. Wow. That dude was flying on Sunday. And then, of course, it would have been nice for Mike Williams to get 100 yards as well. But you can't have everything. And I suppose the most important thing is that we came away with that W.
Yeah, it's again, super important that we're able to do that. I think that ultimately people talk gloom and doom and how, about some of the bad things. And again, this team is not perfect. This team is not a Super Bowl contender. Nobody should think that, but they do have an ability to kind of be gutsy at the end of games and play hard. So I think that is something that we need to consider. But we're right in the thick of things. Kansas City has the week off, meaning if the Bolts can go on and beat the Broncos this weekend, that would put them tied at the same record as the Chiefs. And with the current situation of tiebreakers, we would be in first place in the West again. We would have at least one home game. So I think that's all things that we need to remember. Perspective on this whole thing. We thought maybe they're a fringe playoff team going into the season. We thought they had, like a 1% chance to win the division. It would take probably multiple injuries, we thought, for them to compete for the division. But look at them. They're right in the thick of the division right now. They're right in the thick of the playoff chase. So, there's a lot of positivity to be taken. And you know what? You look ahead at the schedule, not a lot of tough games coming up.
Yeah.
You've got, honestly, we've got a lot of division games. And, if the Chargers can, for the first time in I don't even remember how long, sweep the division, if they were to do that, then outside of the divisional games, who do we have left to play? The Houston Texans, not really a scary team, right? The New York Giants, definitely not a scary team. And then the Bengals, the team who I think is beatable, right? They're kind of like, the Bengals kind of remind me of us, right? They're kind of up and down, solid quarterback play. The defense is good, but sometimes it has lapses. It gives up, big games. So, I think we match up well with the Bengals. I think that could be a fun game. So, there's not like a single game remaining where I look at the schedule and go, oh, we're definitely not winning that game. Right. Before I would have said, well, I'm seeing the Chiefs game. I don't think we're winning that game, but we beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Now they got to come to SoFi and play on a Thursday night. Chiefs have historically not played well on Thursday nights. There's a lot of things in their favor moving forward. So yes, there have been a few losses this season that were either ugly or just straight up blowouts. But you know what? There's plenty of games left for us to kind of get ourselves not only in playoff contention, but even divisional contention. So.
Yeah, I agreed. I think that the one thing that I would like to see this weekend is clearly a victory. But the fact that we are a game behind the Chiefs, because they've obviously played one more, we're in that position again, aren't we, where the ball's in our court again, and we've got to overcome adversity against a divisional opponent. And it's whether or not we can get over the line and prove to people that, yes, we are atop of the AFC West on merit. It's going to be really, really irritating if we enter the following week behind the Chiefs, because they have not been great by their own standards. And I think you're absolutely right, John. The Chiefs are there for the taking at the SoFi. This is the Chargers, and this is the NFL. It's absolutely crazy. Some of the scores last weekend, I was like, what on earth is going on there? The Bills sort of stubbed their toe again, didn't they, last week? Obviously won yesterday on Thanksgiving. But it's trying to keep pace. And the AFC is so competitive. It's ridiculous. If you'd have said to me, entering Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving weekend, we'll be chatting about the Chiefs being sort of winning 7-5, Chargers being 6-4, and the Broncos and Raiders being 5-5. And I said, man, that you need to put money on that, because that's probably 2,000 to 1. The bookmakers give those odds, but we've just got to be positive and go for it. And I'm a firm believer, and I always have been, whatever the football's in Herbert's hands, that's where we're going to be the most dangerous. There's so many questions still on defense, and you're right, Jerry Tillery coming back. I think he needs to slot in on rotation rather than starting the game, because Justin Jones played 81% of the snaps last week, holding Najee Harris to a low count. I think that's going to be really important again. So look, it's up to Brandon Staley. They get paid the bucks, but Jerry's got a lot of work to do to win over some of the fans, because he's not been great. Asante Samuel, we're not going to see him clearly because of the concussion, but Linval Joseph's out, COVID. And Matt Phelan limited with an ankle injury. He'll probably play. He's been absolutely brilliant on the left-hand side with Rashawn Slater and Corey Linsley. So we've got a chance. We've proven that we can blow teams out the water. We've proven that we can compete with teams, but we've also shown that we can shoot ourselves in the foot again. And we've also seen that sometimes we just don't get going, as we just saw against Baltimore. So it's kind of open the box, which Chargers are we going to see on Sunday? And the closer I get to the game, the more optimistic I've got, because I did have us down for a defeat. But let's see at the end of the show where we go with this one.
Well, that's interesting. So, looking ahead at some of the score lines, looks like Vegas has the Chargers as a -3. Again, that means they're a 3-point favorite, which is interesting because they're on the road, and generally the home team gets 1.5 to 2 point, to all the way up to 3 point kind of cushion for being the home team. So they're the Chargers being a 3 point favorite is a solid, almost a full touchdown favorite right now. So that's interesting to see that LA or that Vegas thinks that. So we'll see.
I'm just checking the weather report while you're talking. Keep going, man.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. It's cold weather time, so we need to be careful what we're doing there in the weather. But so they seem to be favored. It's in Denver, which is the Broncos, regardless of how good or not they are, they always play tough in Denver. So I expect it to be a tough game. I expect it to be a lot of defense. And I expect us to have a really tough game stopping the run. Again, Najee Harris was great. To see them kind of bottle him up a little bit, and that was really nice to see. It was nice to see the way that they handled Dalvin Cook. They didn't bottle him up as well as they bottled up Najee, but they did a good job keeping him. But the 1-2 punch to Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon seems like it's going to be a tough one, right? It's going to be.
Who's that second player? Never heard of him before.
He's not bad for a rotational back. He's not bad. So he might be a free agent after this year. I don't know.
5 touchdowns this season. Yeah. So look, he's gonna be up for this game, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always talks about that revenge game, the anger. I think it might be there. I think he might have that little bit of extra to try to, and so the Chargers defense had better be up to snuff. The good news is, I don't. While there are some really good pass catchers, Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and obviously Jerry Jeudy, all being really good pass catchers, we're going to have our trouble with our secondary. I think keeping them necessarily bottled up. The good news is I don't necessarily fear Teddy Bridgewater. He's an okay passer. He's nothing great. He's not an average guy. So I think you have the opportunity to, if they can figure out a way to stop the run, I think they can keep Denver hopefully from scoring 40 points. But I don't know. We didn't think that it was going to be a high scoring game versus the Steelers either, and we gave 37 points. So it's going to be interesting to see how the defense stands up. What are you looking for in this game?
I mean, Michael Snow just made a point there about I'm a nervous, I'm a confident. I'm quite confident. And what am I looking for in this game is just clean execution. What do I mean by that? For a start, catch the football. Herbert has this. If I've got one criticism, Herbert has this tendency to air the ball down the field at Mach 12, and some of the receivers have got no chance of catching that ball. But they're going to have to adjust to that, or he's going to have to adjust. But just keeping things simple. If we start getting to a position where our receiver core is getting closed out like we've seen in previous games, it's how we adjust and how we try and bring our running game into the fold. We had a great ground game on Sunday against the Steelers. I don't want to see Herbert leaving the pocket too many times because you're going to get hurt. You're going to come unstuck at some point. Somebody's out there to make a name for themselves. And it just takes one dude to trip, fall, and land on Herbert's ankle, put him in the trainer's room. Look, it's great. Herbert knows what he's doing. He'll see an opportunity and he'll move the chains. That's part of his job. But I just want to see. I want to see some aggression. I want to see good tackling. Interestingly, going back to Teddy Bridgewater, he's 5 interceptions this season, and I don't think he's thrown one the last 4 games. And I can't remember when our last interception came. So, look, can Brandon Staley force Bridgewater into a position where he's taking risky throws, inviting the long pass? I don't know. Derwin James, I'm putting my hat on James to get an interception on Sunday, and I think it's long overdue. Not for him necessarily, but for those defensive backs, because we need everyone at the minute to stand up and make plays and just be countered. Because if we don't, as you've already mentioned, Denver are going to make it a really hostile environment. It's going to be cold, 67 degrees and sunny. I was just checking there because I was expecting high winds and blizzards. We don't want high winds. Dustin Hopkins is doing an okay job. He's not being perfect, but leaving points on the field. We can't afford that, John. Whether or not we're going to keep going for it on 4th downs, I don't know. But let's not put ourselves in that situation. Let's get these drives going. Let's eat up the clock. I think we control the clock on Sunday. I think we had the majority of time possession. So let's just take the positives from Sunday's game into the game against Denver. I mean, Denver, their record, 1-1-1, four defeats, 2 wins and a loss. I mean, beating the Cowboys and then losing to the Eagles, they're the same as us. You don't know what you're going to get. I think on the offense, I think we edge it because of our quarterback, but then the offense isn't playing against the offense, is it? So sometimes you kind of look at the two quarterbacks and say who's going to edge this game, but it's how the defense is going to play. I think both teams are going to put some numbers on the board, plus 30. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, if you look at Denver overall, and I like to look at their DVOA stats. They're 26th overall in defense, which is obviously not very good. They are 17th in passing defense DVOA and 28th in rushing defense DVOA. So it might be another opportunity for Austin Eckler to kind of prove himself and kind of carry this team again. I think that there is definitely an opportunity for them to really, feast on them. Additionally, special teams DVOA, they're ranked 30th. So, finally a special teams that's just as bad as ours out there. So that's good to see, and obviously the Chargers, their pass defense, and again, this is slowly changing over time, but they're still about 32nd in run defense, which again, does not match up well with Denver's rushing offense, but they are number 9 against the pass currently. And I know it didn't look that great last week, but I think that there were some extenuating circumstances that made the pass defense look a little bit worse. So again, I think that this is actually a pretty good matchup. It's just in Denver, right? Denver is always a tough place to play. No matter how good the Chargers might be and how bad the Broncos might be or vice versa, it always seems to be a close game. And honestly, most AFC West games are close, right? It doesn't feel like there's a lot of AFC West matchups amongst any of the teams that end up being blowouts, right? A lot of surprises, a lot of close games. So I am expecting a close game. I really am. So, it's going to be tough to see exactly kind of, how they're going to figure out a way to stop the run. Because I think, again, if they can stop the run, I think it puts them in a good position, because I just don't think Denver's offense as a whole really scares me. It's just not that good in my opinion. So I think they're 20th or something like that in DVOA and offense, 15th in the pass, and they're only about 25th in the run, interestingly enough. Offensive DVOA, defensive DVOA. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. So, but anyways, they're like I said, their offensive DVOA is not great, and I just don't think Denver is. They're middle of the pack, and I think if we can slow down the run, we can dominate this game. So I do think there are going to be some points scored, but I think it's going to be it's not going to be as crazy as the Steelers game. I may not be on the limb. All right, saying it's not going to be two teams scoring about 40 points. Obviously, that's not on the limb to say I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. But again, I don't anticipate it to be that high scoring. I think it's really going to be, can the Chargers defense show up in both phases? Right? We had the passing defense has really been pretty stout for most of the year, and the run defense has been a major liability. The last few games, it kind of seems to have flipped a little bit. The Chargers passing defense has just not been able to get off the field, but the run defense has been able to do a good job. So I think that's going to be important. I think, penalties and special teams and sustained drives, I think, are going to be helpful. I think part of the reason we see some issues later in games with this defense is that they're tired. I mean, they are, this offense has continuously over multiple games had problems staying on the field, right? They've had the offense has a problem sustaining drives. They've had problems winning the field position game, especially with special teams giving up big plays and penalties. So because of all that, it feels like the defense always seems to have their back on the wall. And, I know you can tell me all day long that the EPA for the defense hasn't been that great, but you know what? If you look at it, they've played seven of their 10 games have been against top 16, which is top half of the league, top 16 offenses, 7 of them. In fact, I think 4 of those 7 are like top 9 or 10 teams, right? So that's a pretty tough schedule for this defense to have gone up against. Well, the offense has only faced like 3 or 4 top 16 defenses, right? So to be honest, the offense has had an easier time than the defense. So Yet the offense seems to have had more struggles than the defense, in my opinion. And I think the offense is who's put the defense in a bit of a pickle. So has the defense been perfect? Absolutely not. They need to clean up their third downs. They need to clean up that part of the field. But if they can, I think this team has definitely the opportunity to make a run here. And I think it starts by beating Denver. You beat Denver, you take first place in division, and guess what? They're in the driver's seat. They are in the driver's seat. They own their own fate. If they win out from this point on, they win the division. It's that simple. So, the Chargers own their own fate.
Yeah, I think obviously the couple of points I want to touch on. Joey Bosa playing inside. I think he got a lot of production out, and I think it threw the offense, it threw the Steelers. I think we'll see some more of that. And then, of course, we've got the inside track, haven't we? The Staley Vic Fangio sort of connection. So that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. It's something, a point that I made about the Steelers game. Brandon Staley is still learning as a head coach. He's got a brilliant mind, and in my opinion, is a great leader, just from what we've seen on tape and on camera. But again, he comes up against another wily set of veteran coaches. So another big test for him. He's not in a position where he's got the luxury of resting players, and we're going to go into a game at 7-1 or whatever. That's not the case. And every week he's having to put his best foot forward and just hoping that the team hold it together. And what I mean by that is actually staying healthy on the field, because we've been in a position for too long now where we've had these injuries and key players missing, and that's still the case on some extent. But one man who I am really, really keen to see playing on Sunday is Derwin James. He hasn't played a whole lot of AFC West football because of his injuries. So he was asked in midweek in the media about where he likes to play, where's his primary position, and his answer was wherever the football is. And this is why I think he will get an interception on Sunday. I mean, he's been so pivotal to how we've been playing. I don't know what this season would have looked like, John, had we not got Derwin James. I think you said the other day when we were talking about Justin Herbert, he had that, was it week 6-7 sort of falter, and he sort of stumbled. I think you made the comment, what does this Chargers team look like without Justin Herbert? Well, we don't beat the Steelers. That is a fact. We don't beat the Browns, and this is a tough sport. Everyone's out there, even the Lions, who are awful. We watched those on Thanksgiving yesterday. They all want to go out and play football and make a name for themselves. Sunday's game is going to be really tough. We just have to be tougher than them and hope that we get a bit of luck, we don't draw too many penalties, and that we can make those field goals and extra points. Because I do not want to be sat here watching the Chargers with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter chasing the game, because that is not going to be good. I don't think my heart can take it, quite frankly, John.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I really have a feeling that this is going to be a close game. I think that it's going to be – I don't think this is going to be one of the things where they lead pole to pole. And honestly, I think there's going to be a few different lead changes late in the game. So I have a feeling that this game is going to come down to the wire. I will say another positive part of our offense that, we've got a kicker who can make game-winning field goals. So, that makes me feel better. He's got a good leg. So, and especially in that thin Denver air, we got a little bit extra yards on it. So it's going to be interesting. Herbert looking for his 6th straight AFC West win. Mike, that's a nice little stat there. Michael Snow, thanks for coming in hot.
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
considering we were sat here not so long ago saying the Chargers are 0-9 in 2 seasons in the AFC West, that how the tide can change, and let's hope we can keep that momentum going, buddy.
I mean, let's be honest. If they can go undefeated this year in the division, right? That means that they'll have 4 more games left. At this point, if they only win their division games left, they're at 10 wins, right? That's fringe playoffs right there, right? That's fringe right there. That's just if we win the division games, right? And then we have games against two of our worst opponents this year, which is going to be the Texans and the Giants, right? Those are going to be the worst opponents we've played all year. So there's a path to 12 wins there. There's a path to 12.
Did the Texans beat Tennessee on Sunday? Am I dreaming?
Tennessee has some real issues without Derrick Henry. Tennessee is one of those teams that I really hopes make the playoffs because I think we match up well with them. I think we match up well against the Bills as well, right? We can beat the Chiefs. Honestly, the Ravens are the scariest team in the playoffs to me. So hopefully, if we can end up on the other side of the bracket and not have to, and hopefully somebody else knocks them off, that would be best case scenario because I think this team does match up well against a lot of these other potential playoff teams. So
there's two teams I want to avoid in the playoffs. Buffalo on the road because it's going to be like minus 25.
Herbert can manage it. He was at Oregon.
Yeah, look, I've got faith. The guys, modern.
Look, if it gets cold and snowy, right, and they have to rely on a ground game, do you know who has better ground game? The Chargers. The Bills have a crappy ground game.
Yeah.
Zach Moss ain't it. Devin Singletary ain't it. Josh Allen is probably their best runner. And if you ask me, I think Herbert's a better runner. So we've got a better running quarterback. We've got a better running back in Austin Eckler. So I think that give me a snow game, man. I think the Bolts could be a surprisingly good snow team.
The other team,
two teams I don't want to see: Patriots, Ravens. Don't want to see.
Well, you just said it. For me, I said Buffalo in upper state New York and the Patriots. But look, the Patriots have got the handle on us, but that has to change at some point. But unfortunately, New England are playing really well at the minute. But the fact that we're sat here going into this Thanksgiving weekend talking about a chance, we're in the hunt at the minute for a wild card spot. There's an awful lot of football to be played between now and week 18, and it's in our hands. We've just got to get over another tricky game on Sunday. But look, the team knows that. Denver know it. They love nothing more than to knock the Chargers out of their stride again. But I do think we're going to see at least 3 more disappointing defeats going on. I think I predicted us at 10-7 to finish the season, which would be great considering the last 2 seasons that we've had have been absolutely dreadful. But I just want to see some 1 or 2 games where we can sit there in the fourth quarter. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, not microwave though, John, and just listen to the game while you've got the kettle on, rather than sat there, thinking, "Oh my Lord, here we go again." Somebody get me a doctor's note because I'm not going to go to work tomorrow. But look, we can't expect to blow teams out this season. There's been very few games across the entire AFC, NFC, where teams have been blown out. I mean, how many shutouts have we had this season? I think we've only had a couple, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple.
So, it's what's your prediction? What's your score predictions? Michael's gone 22-21.
It's a close one. So I will say this. I know you think that 10 wins is their. I think they're an 11-win team. I think they're a playoff team. I think 11, honestly, again,
that's interesting because when I was on the Charger chat pod, Kevin said 12 wins.
I think 11 or 12 wins is really doable. I mean, again, I think the Giants, we're at 6 right now, right? You've got Giants, Texans, who I think should definitely be wins. I think we beat the Broncos at least once. I think we beat the Raiders again, right? Because I just don't think, I think we match up well against the Raiders, right? That's 4 right there. That's 10. That's 10 wins right there. That means after those 10 wins, you just got to beat KC at home, which on Thursday night, which we've already beat them in KC. You got to beat Denver, both times. So a second against Denver, or you got to beat the Bengals, who again, you're in Cincinnati, but I just don't think the Bengals are that good of a team. I think they're an okay team. I think that's a winnable game. So those
Bengals are last game,
one of those 3.
Bengals are last game.
No. Raiders,
sorry,
in Las Vegas.
Okay, so here's a question. You are Brandon Staley, right? I'm putting you on the spot. We've made the playoffs with a game to go. What do you do in that final game against the Raiders? Do you go for it and change the team, or do you rest everybody?
It just depends. If it depends on how it is, on where we're at. Like, I mean, if it's basically we are locked into the wild card spot, then that's fine. I don't care about wild. I don't care if we're the first or second wild, just whatever. We're wild card. It is what it is. But if there's no bearing, then I rest. It just depends, right? Like, what if there's a very good chance if we get to 11 wins or we're on the verge of 11 or 12 wins, we're in the division fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not, because again, the Chiefs aren't unbeatable. The Chiefs could easily lose a number of their upcoming games, right? So I honestly, I think this might be one of those years where the entire AFC West is decided in the last couple of weeks. That Thursday night game versus Kansas City could be for the division, or the game against Vegas after that could be for the division. It could be any time, right? So it's going to be an exciting It's going to be exciting second half of the season. I can't wait to see what happens. But let's get back. None of that matters. All that matters is we get the W in Denver this weekend, which I do think we're going to do. I think we beat Denver. I think the game is a little bit more high scoring than I would have originally thought, but I think not as much. I think it's 27-24. Last second field goal wins it. 27-24 Bolts.
Okay, I said both teams are going to go over 30. Okay, so I've got 34-31 Chargers.
Okay. So hey, we're all thinking Chargers win. I think they do. I really think they do. But Denver's scary. They do scare me. So if we can handle them in Denver, I'll feel much better about 11 or 12 wins because I feel like we're much more confident than beating them in LA. You know?
Yeah, and I think I haven't spoken to anyone inside the Denver camp, but I'm pretty sure there'll be people sat there going, I don't want to play against Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and they'll be looking to shut those guys down. They won't like the fact that Teddy Bridgewater is going to face Joey Bosa. I mean, let's be honest. Who on this planet wants to play football against Joey Bosa? Nobody in your right mind. He is a tier 1 pass rusher. Simple as that. So they've got to be concerned about us, and they should be concerned about us because if they underestimate us, they're going to come and start. I mean, Noah Fant, I expect him to score a touchdown. He just seemed to pop up at the right place at the right time. Veteran tight end. They've got some good pieces there. Let's stuff Melvin Gordon. Let's hold him to 25 yards. That'd be superb.
So, anyways, I think it's going to be exciting. Again, our last 2 games are home for Denver and at Las Vegas. Those could be really important for the division. The Chiefs don't exactly have the easiest schedule. They've got basically the same schedule as us, except they don't have those easy games. Those non-division games that they have left are against the Steelers and the Bengals. Both of them are, again, like I said, neither of them are elite. Oh, those are definitely lost teams, but they're both puncher's chance teams that could come in and go, you know what, we're going to win this game. So I think, and then they play Denver, Las Vegas, us. So I think that when it comes to, schedules moving forward, I think we have a slightly easier schedule than the Chiefs. But I think both of us, it's going to be down to the last few weeks for the division. I think that I really do think that they challenge for the division. Whether they win it or not, it's going to be tough. We already have a game in hand, which is nice. But I think we start out with a nice divisional win against the Broncos, and we move on from there.
How did you speak to your dad after the game? Because your dad's a Steelers fan, isn't he?
Yeah, he was obviously disappointed. He said it was a heck of a game. It was very exciting. He was also not pleased with the 2-hour exit time out of the stadium. But I tried to warn him, but it is what it is. Look, he got a good pair of tickets for free, so he can.
He can't have too many complaints. Did he take his towel in? Did he?
He did. Yes, he is. He's got a blanket. He's got a towel. He's got a jacket. He was steeled up. But my mom had her Herbert jersey that I bought her for her birthday. She had a blanket. She had everything she needed to counteract his Steelerness. So
yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Well, look. Hopefully we'll be out there. Myself, Dan, and Bez will be out there next year with you at the SoFi. But still don't know what's happening. Government is still dithering around. For now, it's just Game Pass and lots of red eyes and long weeks.
All right. Well, it is what it is. But hey, enjoy the game this weekend. It's another 1:00 game for you guys, so enjoy that. But hey, afterwards you've got 10 a.m. games, multiple 10 a.m. games coming up. You got the Bengals and the Texans all at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
which don't tell the wife, but I'm trying to figure out a way to fly out on Christmas night to meet up my buddy.
Oh yeah, you said
in Houston for that game the day after Christmas. We'll see how that flies with her.
John, if you get a leave app or a leave applications, leave app's a military term. If you get a leave app for that game, wow,
I'll put in my chit. I'll put in my chit. See what happens.
You need to buy her some really good Christmas gifts, buddy.
Not holding my breath for that, but we'll see.
I think, look, Texas. I think the Texas game will be good.
I think Taraj. He played last week. He's fit. He had 2 touchdowns. Good for Taraj.
Yeah. It'll be a hostile crowd there as well. So and it's in the war. We don't want to play too many cold games.
In Houston, it's a dome, man. Nobody's going to be there. It's going to be Houston in week, whatever is that, 14, 15? 14. Like, they're battling for a first-round draft pick. That's all they're battling for, right? So,
yeah, well, look, I think that first overall pick's gone to the Detroit Lions, isn't it? Because, man.
I don't know.
That guy, did you see the game yesterday? Oh, that was garbage, man.
I mean, at one point, I was watching the game. At one point, the Lions had the ball on the Bears' 29-yard line. So they're at least in field goal range, right when they at first down and 10. And they had multiple penalties, and then they had a bad kick. And they ended up after starting 1st and 10 on the Chicago 29, the Bears started with the ball on the Chicago 32.
I know.
They basically gave them the ball with 2 yards from that point. How do you do that? I mean, and at the end of the game, I mean, like I said,
I'll tell you how you do that. You get coached by Anthony Lynn.
Oh, Anthony Lynn, so bad. Dan Campbell, so bad. That time management at the end of the game, they had to call 2 timeouts in a row, which is a penalty, by the way. They weren't even lined up. Like, they had a timeout because they didn't like what they saw or whatever, right? So then they go back out there, and then they're not lined up again after the timeout. They have to blow a timeout, giving the team 5 yards. And then the defense that they throw out there on 3rd and 5, they're playing 5 yards off the receivers on 3rd and 5. It's just
complete lack of discipline. No one seems to know what they're doing there. That is a bad football team.
Yeah,
they definitely get the first overall pick. If I'm a potential NFL, superstar coming out of college, I'm not declaring for the draft this year because I don't want to go to Detroit.
I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet that said the smartest thing Justin Herbert ever did was to stay out of the draft 1 extra year, just so they could end up.
Yeah, Michael Snow. They ran it up the middle on a 329 for no game.
That's classic, right? Classic Anthony Lynn.
Correct.
They'll never see it coming.
That's exactly what we did last season. I mean, who did we play? What was it? Denver we played when Herbert put something like 300 yards in the first half. Oh, we're just going to run the football for the second half because we want to confuse them. No, you just confused our entire offense. So now we've put up about 3 net yards. Look, he's got to be done in the NFL, hasn't he, John?
I mean, he's a well-respected person. He's a good person. He's a good coach. I guess. Yeah. So I think he gets. I could see him getting a low-level job, like a
running backs coach again.
Yeah, running backs coach, maybe specialty group, maybe assistant head coach plus running back coach kind of thing. I could see that, right? But yeah, he should not be in charge of a whole unit ever again.
I don't understand how you run the football on a 3rd and 29 unless you've got Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb and LaDainian Tomlinson from 20 years ago on the same roster.
That's the great part of it. I think that their best running back, DeAndre Swift, was out, so they were running with Jamal Williams at that point. It's like, what's Jamal going to do? Even if you gave him a massive gap, Jamal's best case scenario is like a 15-yard run. Best case scenario. Like
those Detroit fans, they must be absolutely sick to the back teeth of their team.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Anyway,
did you see any? I mean, I didn't see any of the other games. It was obviously getting.
I watched the Dallas.
I've seen the highlights. Yeah, Dallas. Man, what are they doing?
I mean, you can blame the referees all you want, but that team just did not look in sync. They looked bad. So
this is what we spoke about before, wasn't it? The Steelers getting hot last year, and they fell off a cliff, and that seems to be happening with Dallas. But it's still middle of the season, so they've got time to.
They've got time. I mean, they're 7-4. They've got
Yeah.
time to recover. They're in the AFC least, so they've got a nice cushion between them and the Giants and the Eagles. It's not exactly a barn burner of a division. So and the Redskins, the Washington football team. Sorry, Washington. Censored. Washington football team. So I mean, they've got 3 pretty bad teams in their division. So it's not like they need to really. They could probably lose the rest of the games and still make the playoffs at 7-10. Like, I'm not even joking. The Cowboys at 7-10 could probably make the playoffs in that division. So they don't really need to win too many more games, to be honest. I think basically 1 or 2 more wins seals they'll clinch the division at that point.
I think there'll be some head coaching changes in the NFC. Seattle, I think Pete Carroll, that could be his last season.
No. Pete Carroll's got a blank check there. I don't think they ever fire him. To be honest, but yeah, I don't think so.
Stuttering team, man. He's won the Super Bowl, back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, but no, I don't know. I can see him getting moved on. If
Staley won a Super Bowl and got us to back-to-back Super Bowls, I would erect a statue of him in front of our practice facility, and he could be our lifetime coach. So I'm sorry, I just don't think Seattle's in a position to be like, hey, we're gonna go fire Pete Carroll unless they put up some really, really bad seasons in a row. Then maybe, but I just think he gets them to a good enough level where they're at the very least in the conversation each year of potentially being in the playoffs, right? Like wild card. I don't think he's gonna to coach them to a 3-15 record or whatever, 3-14 record anytime soon. So we'll see though.
Were you watching the game on Sunday?
I don't know. Probably just from home.
Yeah, ditto.
So
Happy days. Okay, buddy. Let's catch up next week. Let's hope we walk away with a big fat W.
Yep, we'll chat on Tuesday about the win and what it means and what it feels like to be first place in the AFC West Division this late in the season. It'll be amazing. Can't wait.
Yeah, we'll get some content up on the website tomorrow, chargedupbolts.com. We've also got the Charged Up Bolts newsletter. Edition 1 went out. Follow the socials for that. Find us on Facebook. You'll see the link on there. But enjoy the rest of your holiday. Enjoy the Christmas tree hunting tomorrow. Are you going today or tomorrow?
The day. Actually, as soon as I log off here, we're going to head out to the Christmas tree farm. So we'll
enjoy. And big happy holidays to all our listeners across the pond. Bolt up.
Bolt up, everybody.